Mrs. Dalloway as an Experiment with Time. Or Manipulation of Time in Mrs. Dalloway. Marks 10-12. Answer. Bernard Blackstone aptly calls Mrs. Dalloway an experiment with time. Mrs. Virginia Woolf in the novel manipulates all the three kinds of time: the clock time, the psychological time, and the historical time. Mrs. Woolf shows excellent dexterity in manipulating clock time and psychological time in this novel. There are references to important historical events as well. For example, war is just over and it forms the novel's social and political background. The clock time. The novel is of a single day in June. The passing time is indicated almost after every 15 minutes by the chiming of Big Ben and other clocks of London. Early in the morning, Clarissa buys flowers for her evening party. At 11 a.m., Peter enters Clarissa's house. Peter in Trafalgar Square receives a strange illumination at 11:30. Septimus and Lucrezia enter the house of Dr. Bradshaw precisely at 12 o'clock. It's 6 in the evening. Septimus commits suicide and Peter meditates over the civilization and admires it. Thus, clock time is one of the unifying factors that knit together all the incongruous and various streams of consciousness. The psychological time. Also known as Dury, the psychological time even goes back to the earliest days of the characters in the novel. For example, the touch of the morning breeze takes Clarissa back to 30 years in her country house at Burton. We also get acquainted with the various events and the forces which have molded her personality. In this way, the story of a whole lifetime is concentrated within the compass of a few hours. According to David Deutsches, the added dimension afforded by allowing the persons of the novel to move back and forth in time to encompass an entire life in a few seconds of thought, enriches not only the personality of the characters but, in a great measure, the philosophical depth of the book. Confrontation of clock time and Dury. However, Frederick R. Carl and Marvin Magellana point out that there is nothing new and original about the flashback or the glimpse into the future. What matters is the smooth manipulation of time which Mrs. Woolf handles with finesse of execution. This achievement makes the transition from past to present easy and natural, and the narration gains clarity. The frequent confrontation of real time with psychological time makes the manipulation of time more effective. This confrontation serves as a prime device for Mrs. Woolf to lend balance and order to the possibilities of incoherence and formlessness of a stream of consciousness novel. The time montage. The characters are sometimes fixed in a moment of clock time while the novelist is also giving an account of the various events taking place in space at the same time. But as our consciousness flows in time through the memory of one of the characters, we are kept under proper restraint and is stopped from aimless wanderings by the constant reminder of the identity of the speaker. The striking of the clock is not a haphazard and meaningless phenomenon. It marks the transition from one personality to another, from the past to the present, or from one space to another. The space montage. The different characters in the maze of London streets and in din of activities are held fixed by the common sights they see as well as by the simultaneity of time at which they see them. For example, the various characters at the same place and at the same moment see the closed car passing through the London street. Later, they all see the same aeroplane writing, "Toffee," in the sky, and even similar thoughts pass through their consciousness. Mrs. Woolf's achievement. Critics often signify Mrs. Dalloway as the best specimen of Mrs. Woolf's achievement in the manipulation or management of time. She combines expansiveness and vastness with a narrow framework of a single day by her dexterous use of psychological time or Dury. By effective use of clock time, she imparts form and order to the stream of consciousness novel, a kind of novel generally regarded as formless, chaotic, and incoherent. Finished. Please subscribe to the channel for more updates of ready-made notes on English literature.